Thank you, Erica, for organizing the upcoming men's retreat. And thank you, Whitney and Erica, for inviting me to witness to the power of men coming together to explore self and faith. First, some context. When I was in my early 30s, and my wife, Mary Lou, and I had just had our first son, our next-door neighbors asked us to join them in a family retreat with their church. We were Catholic. Mary Lou by birth, me because I wanted to be with Mary Lou. These folks, young like us, genuinely nice and kindly souls, happened to be evangelicals, the hand-raising kind. And we did indeed feel like we were being evangelized. I'll call them Alice and Bob. First, Alice explained to Mary Lou that she would be joining the women for sessions centered on being the nurturing mother. Enticing, no? Nurturing, who could argue with that? Then Bob told me I would be joining the men for more serious discussions under the rubric Dad the Family Shepherd. Wow, Dad the Family Shepherd. Now you need to know that Mary Lou was one of the new breed of modern women from the 60s and 70s. She and I had professional jobs, the first for each of us at Scott Paper Company in Philadelphia. We were peers and equals, a covenant in marriage which I have found easy to embrace, but challenging to master. With some arguing, I still have quite a bit of work left on that score. Mary Lou, a fiery feminist? No. But nurturing while her shepherd tends his flock? I don't think so. We said we would consider it, but privately dismissed it out of hand. A few days later, we respectfully declined. But I kind of liked the ring of that phrase, Dad the Family Shepherd. I started calling myself that, at first in jest, sometimes even in the third person, as in, this family shepherd is going to put on his sneakers to go for a walk with his lovely wife. But more and more, so in earnest, as our family grew. After a while, Mary Lou started calling me that. It grew on us as we grew into the complexities and challenges of parenting. I think I actually grew respectably into the role. One Christmas, years later, I got a Christmas card from Mary Lou and the boys, addressed to Dad the Family Shepherd, and a mug with that sobriquet emblazoned on it. A nod to the fun of it all, but with ever-deepening meaning and love. And Mary Lou, a nurturing mom? You betcha. In my 40s, we moved to North Salem, New York. I had just taken a job in publishing. By then, we had become Episcopalians. I won't tell you why. North Salem hosts a lovely small parish in the Diocese of New York, St. James, a parish some of you may have heard me say is a few miles and an entire state away. I became active in the church, choir, vestry, several tours, and a men's Bible study group. Over several decades, we had sometimes up to 20 men, never fewer than 10, meeting weekly to read and discuss the Bible. The group was focused. We picked a book or two of the Bible each season, reading several chapters for each week. Our selections were thematic, Acts of the Apostles, one of the Gospels in the context of the other three. The creation stories with their similarities and differences, the trials of Job. We organized our approach to each season to focus on biblical context, contemporary meaning, and relevance to our personal lives. We all took part over the course of those years in a movement called Cursillo. Cursillo is a praise-based, faith-based movement, international in scope, emerging first as a Catholic tradition and spreading eventually to the Episcopal Church. Our men's group heard of it. We each went, each the first time as a candidate, which is insider language for a first-time participant, and then as team members preparing and hosting meaningful experiences for new waves of first-timers from the New York Diocese. Observed cursorily, it can appear actually evangelical. How ironic, given the context of my early, perhaps arrogant dismissal of such a thing. But we all found it to be truly uplifting. Continuing as team members, we exulted in being part of something that gave others the experience we had had. We immersed ourselves in service to others and to our faith community. Being in that Bible study group, particularly with our immersion in Cursillo, naturally and inexorably brought us together into relationships which were deep, often with guys you would not normally have met at your family swim club or your place of work or through your kids' school or sports. Relationships which were nevertheless enduring and transformative. Over the years, we organized several weekend retreats to cement these relationships. We invited guest facilitators from the clergy and from a brotherhood of Episcopal monks. Yes, we have them. The retreats were enriching. We embraced them as part of a holistic Christian experience, as an extension and expansion of our Christian journey, in ways very different from our weekly Bible studies together. We combined worship with song, introspection, interaction. It was contemplative while remaining consummately social. I found in each retreat that I was free to explore self with others at hand, to help and to listen. I found I could let go. And now, in my 70s, I am graced with the opportunity to be with, to worship with, to commune with men from my new parish, St. Stephen's. Together, we will be asked to reflect on Christ-centered masculinity. Surely not today's manosphere, but rather something deeper. What it means and takes to be a Christian man amidst the challenges of family, workplace, church, and the communities in which we live. For those of us with young families, maybe even Dad the family shepherd. Yes, indeed, from the guy who early in life dismissed it, but from a guy who hopes he lived out its deepest meaning. To my mates in the choir, those here today, and those streaming the service online, Chris and Richard, my fellow tenors, Tom, Mike, Dave, and Dave, the basses who anchor our music, Derek, the maestro. It would be unseemly and unconscionable for me here to exhort you directly, each by name, to consider joining me at this retreat. I would not presume to, and therefore will not do so. I will nevertheless encourage you, all corporately addressed, to give it a try. And I encourage all the men in this parish to consider it. Erica has landed a top-notch priest to facilitate the retreat weekend. I personally will devote myself to making it as rewarding and as enriching as I can for all who come. I am sure we will grow in faith and find new depths of self and meaning in life. I trust we will also develop and nurture personal relationships. Who knows what may emerge? A new brotherhood of men at St. Stephen's? I'll be at coffee hour if you want to chat about it. Thank you.